Welcome. My name is Randy Forst. I'm with the University of Arkansas Cooperative Extension Service, and I'm the State Consumer Hort Master Gardener Coordinator. And today we are going to talk about ornamental container planting. So it's getting time for us to go ahead and plant up for our spring and summer season. And today we're going to fill a container with some annuals. And we're going to use the pillar filler spiller method, and it's just one way to provide a unique texture to your containers. So the first thing that we need to do is pick out our plant selection. So over here we have our pillar plant, pillar meaning tall, and I'm using a red bronze canna. It is going to continue to grow and get taller. For the filler, which is going to be our bushy plant, I'm actually using a white geranium. And then for our spiller, I'm using Blue Days, which is Volvulus Blue Days is a nice spilling plant that'll spill over the side of the pot. And I just realized this, I'm doing a red, white, and blue theme. But before we get started, we need to make sure that we have a container that has drainage on the bottom. So in this container, there's a hole drilled at the bottom for drainage. So a lot of people, when they fill that container with a potting mix, and again we want a good standard potting mix for it, nice friable, not straight topsoil, never straight topsoil in the container. So to keep that from washing out the bottom, a lot of people will take a coffee filter, put it on the bottom covering the hole, and then they'll take the container potting mix and fill it in. So that's exactly what I did here. I filled it up with this Miracle Grow potting mix, and so it's nice, loose, and friable. So the first thing that we're going to do is, I mentioned the pillar plant. We're going to take the pillar. I'm using that red bronze canna. I'm actually pulling it out of the container. And what I like to do is score the roots on it. And the reason for that, I want the roots to go ahead and expand in the pot when we plant it. So if I'm breaking it up and scoring it, I'm encouraging these plant roots to break out and go ahead and grow in the pot. So we just go ahead and do that. We stick it in it. We place it more or less to the back off center because it's going to be our pillar plant. And the thing you need to know is whatever height the plant is growing in the pot, in its container, we want to bury it that same depth. Not lower, not above that, but at that same depth in that pot. So when we do that, we go ahead and plant that in here. The next thing I'm going to do is do the filler plant, and again I'm selecting a white geranium. This geranium is just going to get bigger and bigger around. It's just going to fill this pot in. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm taking it out of this container. I'm breaking up that root system on it, and again we want that to happen so we can encourage the new roots to grow out into the container. And again, we want to plant this at the same depth it was growing in its original container. So I'm moving this topsoil around to where it's actually growing in here, and I'm placing it in the pot so this will go ahead and grow and fill out. The last thing that I'm going to do in this container is going to put in my spiller plant. This is the one that's going to spill over the side as it continues to grow during the growing season. I'm going to have to remove a little bit of soil out here because I have a bigger container here. So same thing, this is that Blue Days that I'm actually using in here. And again, I've taken it out of the pot. I'm scoring up the roots of this plant. Again, I want it to spread nicely in the pot. I'm going to go ahead and put this inside this pot. And I'm planting at the same depth. And again, as this continues to grow, it's going to spill over and cover the bottom part of the pot. The white geranium here I have on the side, that's the filler. It's going to go ahead and get bigger and bushier. And then of course the pillar plant, which is the red canna, it's going to continue to grow up. So the last thing I'm going to do is take a little bit of this potting soil and make sure I just go ahead and fill up the rest of the container. And again, the reason I'm doing this, I don't want those roots to dry out. After that is done, you should have this. Now the great thing about this method of planting is you can use a number of different varieties of plants. Just remember how that plant is growing. So if you don't like this color, you can use many other colors, but a lot of people even do herbs the same way. They will do a pillar herb such as dill, they'll do a filler herb such as basil, and they'll do a spiller herb like oregano because it more or less drapes over the side. You could do an herb pot in that way too. Now, after we get it planted, The last thing that we want to do is mix up our water. Now we have a container, and I encourage you, when you do watering, at least fertilize your blooming containers twice a month. Once a month has to be, but if you can do it twice a month, great. I'm just using a water-soluble fertilizer. And I like this one because it has magnesium added to it because I want nice rich green leaves. I just fill a bucket with a gallon of water. I just in a sink or the hose. And the great thing about this, it has a little measuring spoon in here. And so it's just one thing, one little spoon cap in this gallon of water. I stir it up to make sure it's dissolved. And then I go ahead and pour it on the container. And again, I want to make sure it's watered in very well. And what I like to do is make sure when I'm watering it, it comes out the bottom. In this case, I have a drain pan. If it's outside, it's your choice. If it's outside, you might want to set it on your patio without a drain pan. But this one has a drain pan because I'm here on the deck or on this tabletop. So again, I'm going to water it a little bit. And again, this is that mixed fertilizer water. And again, I want to make sure that all the roots are hydrated because I've actually, pruned them a little bit. And after I get that watered in, it's going to drain out the bottom. So what I usually do is let it sit in this container for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then I will drain away that excess moisture. I don't want the plants sitting in a wet soil. I want them sitting in a nice moist soil. Wet soils can cause problems. You can get phytophthora, which is a root rot, and we don't want that. And again, this should continue to grow, should get taller and bush out more as the season goes along. And again, make sure you're at least fertilizing this once a month. You can get by twice a month, but you're gonna have to check moisture on this probably every other day for sure. And the great way about that, because we want this plant to stay moist, you're gonna have to water. You just take your finger, your index finger, go down to the first knuckle, push it down into the container, the soil, pull it up, pinch it together. If it stays together like this, it's moist enough. If it falls apart, it's time to water. So with that being said, I think we just finished this container, and all you have to do now is sit back and watch it grow.